Hello there! My name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where today it's that time again. We've gone into the eternal realm, haven't we? We've entered Street Fighter. Well, wonderful. And Chun-Li Countless Kicks is our first commander. 3 mana for a 3/3 with multi-kicker. That's pretty perfect, isn't she? She likes to kick. She goes, what? Except with her feet, like a bit like that. But multi-kicker basically means when you cast this, you can pay that cost any number of times. So it's kicking it, it's giving it an extra effect. But what does it do? When Chun-Li enters the battlefield, exile up to X target instant cards from your graveyard, where X is the number of times that Chun-Li was kicked. Put a kick counter on each of them. Kick counters, we're doing it. It's like Kit Kats, but less delicious. Then Lightning Kick, whenever Chun-Li attacks, copy each exiled card that you own with a kick counter on it. You may cast the copies. That's as many as you want. You're going to be casting tons of cards for free. This is fantastic. Chun-Li, what a card. It really, really is very cool. I like it. I might even end up buying this. Do you know what you should buy into? This channel. You should subscribe to this channel. Got to make lots of videos like this. And there's going to be many, many more in the future. So come along and join me in that. And then without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for Chun-Li. So in at number 5, we've got a Hieroglyphic Illuminations. And this channel, it's called Cycling MTG. Did you think I'd ignore cycling? It's the best mechanic ever printed after all. So Hieroglyphic Illuminations, why is this good in the deck? Because we're going to fill up the graveyard early using cycling. 4 mana for an instant. Hey, it's an instant. Draw 2 cards. That's pretty good. But then cycling for a single blue. Discard this card, draw a card. So the main thing I want to do is fill up the graveyard early with lots of nice instants. So then when Chun-Li enters the battlefield, we get to use them all again with her attack ability. So this is fantastic. Cycle it early, dig through your deck, and then we get to use it late game for the actual effect of, well, drawing 2 cards, which is good anyway. Similarly, we've got Mental Journeys. 6 mana for an instant. Draw 3 cards. Okay. Basic land cycling. Is that as good as regular cycling? Absolutely not. Regular cycling is the best thing that's ever happened. Basic land cycling, however, we are going to want basic lands. We're going to want to cast our spells, and lands are generally quite important in that sort of thing. At least that's what's been rumoured. So this is wonderful. And then late game, we're going to get a ton of advantage by drawing 3 cards. Very nice card. Then we got Forsake the Worldly, an excellent removal spell. Everyone has enchantments, everyone has artifacts. Let's exile a couple, why don't we? And cycling for 2 mana. So all these cards are going to be cycled before our commander comes down. So if we've got a bit of acceleration, things like that, we can then multi-kick her and then get in and get all of these again and again and again. This is fantastic for just removing whatever you want. The exile clause is great as well. And then finally, we got a little curveball here in Rebuild. 3 mana for an instant, return all artifacts to the owner's hand. Cycling for 2. Now, this is great against your opponents because generally they're going to be playing a lot of artifact-based ramp, artifact-based, well, everything generally these days. Artifacts are incredibly powerful. But what you can do with this is also save your own board state. Say it's just rotting in your hand, you don't want to cycle it. Well, all of our ramps are going to be artifact-based, or at least I'd think it would be. So if our opponents go to like Austere Command and blow up the board, we can bounce it all back to our hand, tons of card advantage, recast them after the dust has settled. So there's some nice little instants that we can cycle away and then get advantage with Chun-Li later. That brings me on to number 4. And at number 4, we've got modal spells because I love the choices. That's why cycling is my favourite mechanic. Having a choice is wonderful. An Archmage's Charm is amazing. Triple blue for an instant, choose 1. Counter target spell. That's pretty goddamn good. 3 mana to cancel, not that bad. Target player draws 2 cards. I'll choose me, thank you very much. Gain control of target non-land permanent. We convert to mana cost 1 or less. That Sol Ring's looking quite nice. I'll take that. Give me your Sol Ring. And the great thing about this is we can counter a spell with it out of our hand. Then when we multi-kicker it with Chun-Li, the next 2 options become fantastic. Drawing 2 cards whenever we attack, that's good. Stealing a Sol Ring every time we attack, That is amazing. Really, really powerful and wonderful value. Then Supreme Will, one of my favourite cards ever printed. 3 mana instant, choose one. Can't target spell unless it's controlled by 3. Obviously, that's going to be not that good under Chun-Li, but we get to impulse. So look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Absolutely wonderful. You can control the board state early with that counter spell, and then when Chun-Li hits and we get in for some damage, we're going to get some advantage. This card does it all. Then there's You Find the Villain's Lair. Ooh, another cancel variant. 3 mana instant, choose one. Counter target spell. Okay, pretty good. Or draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. I really like that looting effect because we're going to be filling up the graveyard for Chun-Li. We get to decide what instants are going in there. So this works excellently in the deck. Then there's Mystic Confluence, a fantastic card. 5 mana for an instant, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Cancel target spell unless it's controlled, pay 3. Return target creature to its owner's hand and draw a card. Going to talk more about bouncing creatures to hand because I think that's an integral part of this whole deck's synergy and strategy. But this is fantastic because it's 3 creatures we could choose, or we could draw 3 cards, or if we wanted to counter our own spells as we're casting everything, well, you could do. You know, I'm not going to say no to you. I'd say no to myself, but I'll make an exception. Then we got Untitled Command, 4 mana instant, choose 2. Return target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Gain 4 life, can target creature spell, and draw a card. So we're always going to have some sort of relevant effect there. The reanimation, sadly, it doesn't reanimate Chun-Li because Chun-Li is 3 CMC, but I'm sure you can get some Wall of Omens or that new, that dog. That's an enchantment creature that draws a card when it ends. You know, there's so many different ways that you can use this card. And gaining 4 life, well, it's not great, but I'll take it. I'll do it. Then this isn't particularly a choice card, but I think it's a wonderful include. Solani Vision is a 3 mana instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So if you're casting this with Chun-Li, you're only going to get one choice. However, on the flip side of this, it is a land. So early game, if you really need to hit a land drop, you just play this as a land. Late game, you can use this to just keep digging through, get instant and sorceries. Wonderful card, very good card advantage. And then finally, the granddaddy of them all, it's Cryptic Command. 4 mana instant, choose 2. Counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, or draw a card. That tap all creatures your opponents control, right next to my finger here, is absolutely phenomenal with Chun-Li because we're going to be attacking with Chun-Li. And the thing is, when you attack, generally people can block. Well, let's make it so our opponents can't, because if we're casting Cryptic Command off this, I'm always going to be choosing that top all creatures your opponents control. Then Chun-Li gets in for some commander damage, it won't be blocked and killed, and then we can live to attack another day. Really, really great card. And those, you know, some nice modal spells. It's like having 14 cards instead of, well, 7. And that is really good to me. And that brings me on to number 3. At number 3, well, what have we got? We've got Fading Hope. 1 blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If its mana value is 3 or less, scry 1. So why are these spells, you know, why am I talking about spells like this? The thing with this Chun-Li commander is when we attack, we choose any number of creatures with, instants with kick counters on them. It doesn't care about which version of Chun-Li did that. So what that means is when we attack with Chun-Li, it doesn't matter if it was the version that kicked, if you get what I'm saying. This is wonderful for protecting our commander and also disrupting our opponent's early game. What we can do, we can multi-kick Chun-Li. Okay, great. Then attack with her, return her back to the hand, recast her, and then that new version can also get all the cards with kick counters on it because they still have those kick counters. And that is what is so wonderfully powerful with this commander. It doesn't care how many times it's been cast. You can always get access to those kick counters. And, you know, barring some kind of ingest mechanic or something like that, we're not going to lose those cards in exile. It's a really cool thing. And because Chun-Li costs 3, we can scry one. And yet again, another thing that's cool about cards like this, we can multi-kick Chun-Li when we cast it again to get more cards into exile. There's just so many ways that this card works. Boomerang, a classic 2-mana, return target permanent to its owner's hand. So if you're being really aggressive and your opponents are missing lands, just bounce one of the lands. Bing! Ha ha ha. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? What's wrong with you? You don't need lands. Anyway, Rescind, a great one because it has cycling. 3-mana instant, return target permanent to its owner's hand. So again, bounce those lands. Your opponents are going to be miserable. But you can cycle it early if you really need to get it out before Chun-Li hits the field. Or you can just use it as a removal spell. It works either way. Depart the Realm, 2-mana, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Boo, you can't return lands. But you can foretell it, so you get it cheap later down the line. Or you just get it into your graveyard early, just bounce something, and then exile it with Chun-Li. And then we've got Call to Heal, one of my favourites actually, because it draws cards. 2-mana, instant, return target creature to its owner's hand. Its controller draws a card. So if this is targeting Chun-Li, not only do we get Chun-Li back so we can multi-kick her, we get to draw a card. And giving your opponents one card, not the end of the world. It's not great, but it's really nice if you want to just control the board state. Then we got Release to the Wind, a slightly different take on this. 3-mana, instant, exile target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it without paying its mana cost. And I believe you can multi-kick Chun-Li from this. I can't remember. But this is really nice, say if you're playing some Eldrazi or something like that. You just exile it, cast it for free. It's great for just dodging board wipes as well, because you exile it out, then just cast it after the board wipes resolved. It's got a lot of uses. And then Vanish into Memory is, the worst of these, but it's a really cool card, so I thought I'd include it. 4-mana, instant, exile target creature. You draw cards equals that creature's power. At the beginning of the next upkeep, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, discard cards equals that creature's toughness. So with Chun-Li, we're going to draw 2 cards straight away. Then when it comes back, we've protected it from the removal spell or the board wipe. We're going to discard 2 cards, which is filling up our graveyard. Maybe we can get Chun-Li back to hand, exile them. There's so many different ways that you can play this deck. It's really, really cool. So there you go, some nice bounce effects for you. And that takes me on to number 2. And at number 2, we've got Haste, because our commander needs to attack. So things like Lightning Greaves and just ways to attack straight away are incredibly important. 2-mana equipment, equip creature has Haste and Shroud, so protection as well, and equip for 0. So you want to hit this before our commander comes in. Then we've exiled a bunch of cards with multi-kicker, suit it up, get those greaves on, and then we can swing in straight away and exile all those cards that we've just exiled and recast them. Amazing value. Similarly, there's Chariot of Victory, 3-mana for an equipment. Quick creature has First Strike, Trample, and Haste. Equip for 1. So this is really, really nice. Just gets in there. The Haste is obviously what we're playing it for, but Trample and First Strike potentially could save our commander, so very nice. And then Swiftfoot Boots, another classic. 2-mana equipment, quick creature has Hexproof and Haste. The protection is just phenomenal, and the Haste is exactly what we need. Then, if you've got a bit more mana, we've got Culdra Complete. 7 mana for a living weapon with Indestructible. Quick creature has +5/+5, has First Strike, Trample, Indestructible, Haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. Equip for 7 though. It's quite the investment, but commander games tend to run really long. We're going to end up with a ton of mana, and so that equip cost, it's pretty daunting, not going to lie, but there's so many cool effects there. Giving our commander Indestructible as well as Haste, amazing. It's just wonderful. It just works perfectly. And then here are a couple of ways to search up all of these cards. Deadeye Quartermaster, 4-mana 2/2 Human Pirate. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment or vehicle card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Just get any one of these equipments, then we can deploy our commander. Then Stoneforge Mystic, the classic, which works phenomenally with Caldera Complete. 2-mana 1/2, when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Pay 2, tap, you may put an equipment card from your hand onto the battlefield. You cheat it into play. And because it's got living weapon, we can attack straight away with this thing. Yes, it's not on our commander, but it's still phenomenal value. But what about if you wanted it to get straight on your commander? Stonehewer Giant is the giant for you. 5 mana, 4/4 Vigilant, pay 2, tap, search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, attach it to a creature you control, then shuffle your library. So this puts it straight onto the creature, so our commander will instantly be equipped. This is just so much value. Wonderful. Just hope that you don't draw all your equipment before you get to activate it, or else you're going to be a little sad, aren't you? Depression will hit you in an awesome wave. And that takes me onto this whole sort of section. But now, let's have a look at my number 1 pick. And what have we got on number 1? Well, having one commander is pretty good. At least I've heard it is. Why don't we have more than one? Using Helm of the Host. 4 mana, legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature. Except the token isn't legendary and the equipped creature is legendary. Wait, no. If the equipped creature is legendary, the token isn't legendary. There you go. Hey, I managed to get through it without butchering it. That token gains haste equipped for 5. So this is phenomenal because of what I was talking about earlier. When we exile all those cards with kick counts on, they stay there in the ether forever. Then, if we've got a Chun-Li, regardless of if it's the one that exiled all those cards, when it attacks, we're going to get those cards. So if we've got multiple Chun-Li, say we've got 3, well, we get to cast all those cards 3 times. It's phenomenal. It's just so much value. This card, especially with all of the cards we just talked about, getting equipments, things like that, just works amazingly. Really, really good. But make sure you've set up the board state so you've got all those cards in exile. Then, if you've got 1 commander, we've got 2 commanders, let's have a 3rd, why don't we? With Spark Double. 4 mana for a 0/0 illusion. You may have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional 1/1 counter. Yes! Yeah! I mean, probably not going to affect anything. If it's a creature, and it enters with an additional loyalty counter if it's a planeswalker. And it isn't legendary if that permanent is legendary. There's just so many words on cards these days. My voice is getting hoarse. But this is fantastic. Having 2 commanders is exactly what we want to do. We're going to be casting so many different spells. Then, let's have a 5th commander, why don't we? With Sakushima the Imposter. 4 mana for a 3/1 human rogue. Comes into play, you may choose a creature in play. If you do, Sakushima comes into play as a copy of that creature, except its name is still Sakushima, and it's legendary. It gains pay 4, return Sakushima to its owner's hand at the end of turn. So you can't multi-kicker this, because obviously it's not that, but if we've got loads of cards in exile with those kick counters on it, we get to use them, attack with this, get loads of value. And then finally, if we've got a legendary creature that dies, let's have a way of getting it back with Loyal Retainers. 3 mana, 1/1 Human Advisor. Sacrifice it, return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only during your turn before attackers are declared. It doesn't matter. Getting your commander back for free is amazing. And if you've got a Sun Titan or something like that, Sun Titan can get back either this or our commander if it goes to the graveyard. So tons of value to be had. So let's have about 18 commanders, why don't we? It's easy. And those are my top 5 cards for this commander. Really, really cool. Chun-Li, I like the flavour of this. It fits very well with the character. And why don't you subscribe to my channel? Oh, it's gone away. But please do subscribe to my channel. I'm going to make videos like this for everything. So come and join me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.